Hey guys, your boy Chilla here. Welcome back to Pantrio, the series where I will basically attempt to stuff as many web technologies up my butt as possible until I finally puke out some kind of semi-usable web application for my mom. So, in the last video, a little bit of a recap here. We got Laravel working, got our test page, but yeah, all is good with the world. Now, what we want to do in this video is I want to set up our repository. Actually, we're going to have two repositories. One is going to have the Vagrant environment, and the other is going to have the Laravel application, Pantrio itself, Pantrio. And what we're going to do is in our provisioning script here, in our playbook, we are going to clone from the Laravel repo onto the server. So it'll be all automatic. It'd be very simple. You would clone the Vagrant and you would run up on it, and that would install everything. 2 commands and everything is running and you're good to go. Now, in a previous video, I said that it would be better organization if instead of having everything in main.yaml, we would separate out the separate groups of, tasks, I guess. So installing Node has several tasks associated with it, installing Nginx, MySQL, and instead of having them all just chilling out in here, separate them out into their own separate, refactored things. They're called roles in Ansible. So I created, off screen, I said, I'll try this out, and I did it, and it works, but I'm pissed off. I'm super pissed off, which is not uncommon when I'm working with web stuff, because it doesn't quite work, and I don't know why. And it's not only me that doesn't know why, it's also like the rest of the internet. So basically what you want to do here is, for example, these, let's go into, MySQL. So like the name of the database or the name of the user or the password. I don't want to hard code that into the role. Roles are meant to be reusable in different projects. So I'd like to parameterize that. And normally you can. You just use a variable. And you should be able to put a variable in here and then pass the variable onto the role. When I call the role, I use include role. This is in my main playbook. And I should be able to pass variables like this vars dictionary here. I can name of the variable and then the value, and then use that inside my role, and it doesn't work. I get this freaking error here. And I asked on inline, and they're saying, I can't reproduce your problem. And so I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, it works on your machine. That's cool story, bro. It doesn't work on my machine. So I just hard coded these values into here, and we're just gonna have to live with it. But I spent like probably 2 hours trying to figure out why this didn't work, and I still didn't get it. So if anyone's watching this and they happen to know why it doesn't work, then by all means, I'd love to know. But we're just gonna move on with the show. We're just gonna hard code that stuff in there and live with it. So yeah. So now we have a role for MySQL, we have a role for Nginx, and we have role for Composer? Yeah, Composer role. I actually have made 4 roles. So that's good. It's good stuff. It's nice organization. It's not going to make that big of a deal. Let's get on with the goal of today, which is to so what I want to do here is probably git init, initialize empty git repository. Now, can I open this up in Gitkraken? I believe I have to make the initial commit before I'm able to open it up. But I don't want to make the initial commit until, and this is very important, until I've ignored the things I want to ignore. So let's, I guess we can look at the folder in here. So this is our root. We have .vagrant, we have Ansible, we have shared. So I don't want to commit, I want to ignore everything in shared because that's part of the separate repo. I want to ignore this because this is an environment. It's specific to whatever you're using, but I would like to have an example file of this. So, and the Vagrant file, obviously we want to commit that. everything in Ansible. So we need, I'd like to open this up in Explorer just to make sure. Okay, here we are in the Explorer. I can see, yeah, I've got my Git folder in here. .id. I also want to ignore this, by the way. So how does one go about this? Well, I guess we can do it manually because I'm pretty sure, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not going to work with Git Kraken just yet. So new file .git ignore. Do you want to add the following file? Sure. Definitely want to add it to Git. Now, what do we want to ignore? Vagrant. I'm not sure if I need, no, it automatically detects it as, that's neat. I don't know what the sort of things that it has support for here in PHP Storm, but ignore .vagrant, ignore shared. We want to ignore .vlocal.conf.yaml. We want to ignore Ubuntu, yeah. Don't want that log in there. We don't want to ignore vagrant file, but we do want to ignore, let's see what we've got, hidden stuff. We don't have to ignore .git, obviously it does that automatically, but .idea. This one is another one that we want to get rid of. Okay, so that's good. This should be our git ignore all set up. Now, one more thing, I want to make a example file of this environment that will be committed. YAML. It's a YAML. Although, no. Yeah, just open as text, not auto detect. That's fine. Yeah, sure, add to Git. That's fine. Okay, so project name. So example project name, example IP address, host name. I mean, we could also just leave these as defaults, but I like to put it in here. It just reminds the person who cloned the thing what sort of things they might want to set. So we'll just leave this as the example. There's nothing, nothing inflammatory in here that we would want to expose onto our, source code management repository thing. And for some reason today, words aren't coming to me. But we will soldier on. So we did this. Now we probably want to do like git add all the things. Git commit m initial commit. So if we do this, hopefully, yeah, it only added the things that I wanted it to add. This, yes, this, and all the things in Ansible. Perfect. So this is our baby boy, and we like him. Now we're going to open this bad boy up in Git Kraken. Do it. Okay, open a repo. Open. Not recently opened. Yes, not here. Go here. Where is our bad? Here he is. Here he is. There we go. All right. So we now have this open. I want to push this to GitHub. Repo must be hosted on GitHub. Select an issue tracker. No, not issues. Remote. Add remote. GitHub. Okay, so I can't let you see this thing for reasons. I can put this back here. Repository name is going to be Pantrio Vagrant. Remote name is origin, description, Pantrio dev plus deployment environment. There's 2 mints in a row. You can never have too many mints. Access will be public. Create and push local refs. Beautiful! Did it. Created the repo, view on github.com. And indeed, it has been created and it is good. Love it. Okay. So you guys can, check that out if you're interested. If you want to follow along, all the stuff about the environment is going to be in there. But not just that, we also want to put our actual app onto GitHub. So how do? Well, we're going to cd shared and Pantrio. Now, believe this one already has a git ignore in it, maybe? Maybe not. Maybe not. That's unfortunate. I was kind of hoping it would have a... Why doesn't... I bet it has a git ignore in it already, and it's just this cheeky thing isn't showing it. Because it doesn't show... It doesn't have LL. Like if I go LSLA, then we should see it. Yeah, so it has a preset git ignore that is set with nice defaults for Laravel. So I don't need to add anything into here. I should just be able to do git init and then git commit m initial commit git add dot. Now I hate this thing with the LF will be replaced with CRLF. Don't do it. Don't do it. I very much do not want this at all. Chili ain't having it. Git likes to normalize line endings and stuff, but we want everything, because everything we're doing here, nothing's on Windows. It's all on the virtual machine in Linux. So we don't want CRLF. It's cancer. It's absolute cancer. So, Git attributes is probably the place where fresh is the taste. Git attributes dot. There it is. Okay, text equals auto is not what we want, but I don't know what the freaking text option is. So, git attributes CRLF off. Disable EOL conversions. Yes, hook me up. Hook me up, daddy. Text equals auto. No. No, I don't want it to be auto. Text equals false to disable automatic handling. It's probably what I want, maybe. Okay, we're going to try off. And we're going to see how you like it. How do I uncheck out everything? How do I unadd all the things? Maybe git reset. Okay. Git add dot. Oh, see that? It didn't give me all this bullshit. That's awesome. Now let's see if I can get commit, initial commit. All right, we did it. We did it, everybody. Look at this. So this is all the stuff that is part of the Laravel. Now you might be wondering, this is not very many files for, such a thick boy. Laravel is a very thick boy. But the thing is, the way that this stuff works is most of the meat is in this vendor folder. And this stuff is managed by a composer. So you don't commit any of it. When you clone the repository, the first thing you do is you run composer install, and it will install all the things that are necessary. So you have this file composer.json that says, I want these libraries. And that creates this lock file that locks in all the versions you have. So you don't, get a surprise update that screws over your whole application. And that is how that works. So most of the stuff is in vendor, but we never want to commit vendor. Okay. So we have our second boy. Here he is. Now I have to add the remote, which means for 1 second here, I just gotta not show you something. Okay. Remote name, description, Pantrio application in Laravel, Nuxt, all that happy crappy. Okay. Beautiful. Let's do it. We now have this on GitHub when this operation finishes. And the last thing that we're going to want to do today is we go back to this bad boy here. And we want now to fully automate the system so that, let me go back here, main. So now what we should do is, after installing all of these services that we require, we want to clone. Yeah, so we're going to ensure that this directory has the correct permissions. That's useful. Make the owner. We don't need this SSH because I stole this from another project of mine, and I was cloning from a private repo, so I needed some kind of credentials to do that. But we're not going to be doing that now. So we can just, since it's a public repo, we don't need the key file here. Accept host key. We don't need that. Update, no. Become user www data. So this will clone the repository and we'll do it as the user www data. So the ownership of the files in here will be appropriate. The repository name, we'll just hard code it in here. Was Pantrio, I hope. And we are going to put it into Pantrio. Update, no. So if we run this, if we run the provision a second time and this directory already exists, it won't try to update it. It will just leave it the way it is. We only want to clone. We don't want to update. Then we do the thing I was telling you about. We install those composer packages. So we are going to, so community general composer. Do we have that? Yeah, we install community general, so we have this. Install, no dev, no, yeah, that's fine. And in here, Pantrio. All right. Now, when we do this, we're going to have an environment file, just like I have an environment for my Vagrant. There is also an environment file here, .env. Has many important things. There will be an example file, but this will not be checked. This is not checked in to the Git repository for very important reasons. It often contains things like your private keys for your APIs and stuff like that. Things you would not like to commit to a publicly accessible source code repository. So we'd have this. This will get copied into here. Later on, it might be more sophisticated. If we have private keys, we'd have to have some way of injecting them into this script so that this environment would be templated and they would be filled into here when it's copied. But for now, that should not be necessary. And Laravel has a kind of key that it uses, I think, for some kind of encryption or something. You can just tell it to generate that. It's in the example file, it is empty, but in the environment file, it gets this stuff. So generate that bad boy. Do it. Link Laravel storage. I might talk about this later, but it's just something you want to do. If you want to have public links to files that are stored in the Laravel storage area, this is what gives you that. It's not that important. At least not yet. If we use it, then I will, probably explain it a little better as I'm going along. We do want to migrate the database, but we'll leave that for now. We won't talk about that yet. Install npm. We'll definitely be doing this stuff, but not yet. Run webpack, yes, but not yet. Okay, so these ones should be enough to get us going. I'm not gonna use this one either because it doesn't do anything for us right now. But up until here will be necessary. And what happens now is I should be able to run Vagrant up, and it will install the stuff like before, and then it will clone into our repository or into our HTML folder. And after this is all done, it should be ready to go. With one command, I should be able to just access the website in my browser. Now, will that actually work? I mean, probably not, right? This shit never works the first time. But I believe I've copied and pasted and I've replaced all of the old name things with Pantrio. So it has a chance of working. But let's try it out. Let's just, I mean, we don't need to do this yet. Yeah, we don't want to do that yet. Okay, so what I want to do now is delete everything in shared. Suck on my nuts because I just deleted you. Eat it. What do you think? Oh, you're having a problem. Well, keep having that problem. Okay, so we did that. Now, I am going to destroy the machine. Vagrant destroy. There's probably an option I can do so I don't have to get prompted for this. But I'll do it anyways. So now the machine is going to be gone, and then I'm going to do vagrant up. Let's just let's get rid of .vagrant. I have a clean slate here. Get rid of that. So normally what you do is the first thing you do is you would copy this example file just to vlocal conf yml, maybe edit some things, and then the next thing you would do is you would run vagrant up, and it should do the installation I did before, and then it should clone from GitHub, and then it should set up that it should basically rehydrate the Laravel project. And when it's all said and done, we should be able to access the website. No problems. And I'll be back and we'll see if that is actually what happens. All right, so we have success here. It took a little bit of tweaking and twerking. It didn't work quite as I had it. I had originally had an SSH link here. I had to change that to HTTPS. And I also made these commands, I want them to be executed as the www data user. But do all that, got rid of the error, and now here you have it. It has apparently succeeded. So, moment of truth, Pantrio, and we have our site up. So it's now basically to get the site up and working on a local dev environment, you do a git clone and you do a vagrant up, and everything's automatic. The next step is you can just use the site. And that's a beautiful thing to have set up here. And eventually, it's probably going to require a little bit of twerking, but eventually we'll be able to have a similar setup for provisioning an AWS instance. So with just a single command, and it should be, fire up the instance, get in there, install the stuff, and then clone our application and initialize it, hydrate it. One thing that kind of bothers me about this is I'm not sure why it didn't work with the original, the link, the SSH. It gives me a bunch of errors about not being able to create a folder for .ssh, which is, usually where you would put your keys, I guess. But the thing is, this is a public repository. It doesn't require keys. So I'm not sure why all that hullabaloo. But I don't want to dig too deep into it, because you know what? This works. And I'm all about getting things to work and then moving on. So that's going to about do it for this video. In the next one, I have an idea. Probably won't take a ton of time, but just a short one video. We're going to play around. We're going to explore a little bit in Laravel. See some of the basic ideas. This isn't a tutorial so much as it's just, me making an application and kind of guiding you guys through it. And in that application, we might not use a lot of the base things that you have in Laravel, like blade templates, because we're going to be doing it with vue.js. But just to show off some of the basic ideas, I figured take one video, won't be too bad, and it'll be interesting for you guys who who aren't familiar with Laravel. Should be an interesting watch. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like button, helps a lot. And I'll see you soon with some more Pentrio.